Hey pioneers, and welcome back. On our last video we finished my main base, and now we will start using it. We are going to craft space elevator parts, and the idea is doing the two I need, the adaptive control units and modular engines, if that's the name, on the same factory and start feeding our space elevator so that we can finally progress in the game. So let's go to the design board and see if we can come up with something that looks good. Wow, wasn't expecting this. It ended up being a big factory. And I'm not even producing that much. It's only 0.5 of each, because I really don't care. By the time I finish a new factory, all of this will be done. So I don't see any point on doing big numbers of space elevator parts. I won't do a full breakdown of the factory. That's going to be boring and take a lot of time. But I'll do some comments. For example, these red arrows. What do they mean? If there's an intersection that has a red arrow, that means that I will place a smart splitter over here and I will be prioritizing on the same way the arrow is pointing. So in this case, we are producing 6.5 circuit boards, and we need 4 for our computers and 2.5 for our adaptive control units. So by prioritizing this path, we make sure that while this buffer is being filled up, this machine will be off, because it needs the computers. So this ends up doing a faster startup time. I always try to make the factory start as fast as possible. Over here we see no arrow, because we are dividing 3 rotors, 2 on one side and 1 on the other side, so this can be achieved simply by a splitter. This one, it's a little bit more tricky, but we can do it. We have 4.5 stators, we need 2.5 on one side and 2 on the other one. So if we divide this by 3, we will have 1.5. And if we divide that again by 3, we will have 0.5. And then by merging 0.5s and 1.5s, we can get to these numbers. But yeah, most of the intersections have smart splitters, so this factory will take some time to start up. And I even had to break the diagram, because if not, it would have ended up being too messy and hard to understand. So what did I attempt to do while designing this factory? I wanted to reduce the amount of inputs. And I kind of managed it. We are using plastic, rubber, iron, copper, and a little limestone. I managed to avoid steel, avoid caterium, and avoid anything quartz related. And I almost could avoid the copper ingots, because the wire can be done with iron, but the copper sheets can't. So these damn copper sheets made me add copper to the mix. But well, I still am happy with what I designed. And now let's go to the map and figure out where do we build this. Here's our map. We need plastic and rubber that come from here. We need iron that comes from here. We need copper that comes from here. So these 3 factories are giving all of the materials we need. And well, it would be comfortable just building in front of them, but I need to expand. I'm not expanding, and there's a huge map. I need to explore it to play on all of the places where I can. So I was thinking that maybe we could extend a little bit this rail that is mining sulfur, I think, all over this place, and see if we can build in this actual hole. I think that you should be able. I will probably die a lot of times while building, but it might end up being original. And then I'm not entirely sure how tall all of these mountains are, but somehow extend the rail all the way up to here, so that the space elevator parts don't have to go all the way back through all of this path to get to our main base. So I would be taking everything from these 3 factories, taking it south through this rail, and, well, let's try to build in a hole. What's the worst that could happen? Well, this would be the location. The rail comes from that side. We actually can see the sulfur miner, so it will be coming through this valley. And I'm guessing that it could go over these rocks and then make a bridge to go over those rocks and then somehow go absolutely vertical to get to the top side and connect to our main base. Water will be coming from the top of the waterfall. Maybe to not ruin the waterfall, I could take the pipe on the side. And yeah, the factory would be there in the hole. I'm still not sure at what height. I'm a little bit worried about this fog. I don't want the inside of the factory being completely covered by fog and not being able to see anything. Maybe when you place some lights it dissipates? I'm not entirely sure. I will experiment a little bit. If not, I can build it a little bit higher. But if it's higher, how do I support it? It needs to be in the hole so I can grab myself from the walls. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of extra effort just because of the location. But I already recorded a clip saying I'm building here, so I will be building here. Boring part is done. I did all of the infrastructure. There we start climbing through the rocks. And then we go vertical all the way to the top. So my whole world is connected. It goes from here all the way up to there. Probably the longest one I made so far. And I also ran a fog test. So if we go here to the very bottom, this is almost in the limit where you start dying. And we can see that there's no fog. So I can build a factory here. So let's start placing some foundations. That's a start. I went for a cross shape. I just picked a random height. I think it's aligned to that part of the grass. And I left a big hole in the middle. The idea is just keeping that hole up to the very end. It will probably have several floors. So you will always have a way to kill yourself from inside the factory. So now I need to do the other slice of the floor, and then we can start plopping some machines. I always start for the biggest one. We have 2 refineries, one for limestone and one for copper sheet. So let's place those. And I guess that I could place 2 of each to save power. I'm wasting power by using that recipe because, to be honest, I think that I need 18 concrete. There's absolutely no need to use that recipe. And then I place 2 refineries to save power. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I drank too much liquid biofuel. But well, that's what I'm doing. Here we go. We have the 4 refineries. That one's produce the concrete. And here we have the copper sheets. I made the water connection as symmetrical as I could. And we are close to the waterfall, meaning the water will come somewhere from here. Anyway, I won't be finishing this connection until we have the roof to know how I'm supposed to connect it. Now, each one of these lifts is the slower speed I can, because I think that that looks better. Nevertheless, we have here in the input MK2s. You might wonder, why is that if we only have a 6.5 input on each of these machines? But the thing is that these machines are prioritized. The moment we turned everything on, the whole payload of copper ingots will be going here. And that's a total of 113. So the lifts need to be able to carry it, to make it as fast as possible. Then another thing I did, I changed the material type of the edges, just to remember that this is where I'm going to be placing the wall and to stay away from it. Finally, I also finished the main layout of what the factory will be with 2 floors. I feel like this is more than enough space, but hopefully I want it not to be the case, because I was expecting to add a little more rooms or something to break a little bit the shape. But well, we'll see as we go. I won't be prioritizing making compact things. I will take as much space I need so that I can add a couple more rooms. So where do we continue? These refineries are going to be taking copper ingots, and the other machines that need copper ingots are the one that produces wire. So let's place those as close as possible. So on this zone over here, I will be locating the constructors that do wire. And there we have our beautiful constructors. I needed 6, I placed 16 because of reasons. They are all load balanced and the recipe is already set up, so I think that it works. Now, I was seeing that we have these assemblers over here, both rotors and stators, that they need exactly the same materials. So maybe I could place them somewhere around this side. We only need 1 of each, but I will probably end up doing something silly like that. I want to use all of this space. I crafted a big factory without any real reason, so well, let's start using all of this space. And we are done. I placed 6 assemblers of each, sending all of the belts to the bottom side. Recipe is already set, and I know that this is kind of a contradiction because I designed the factory to start up as fast as possible, but placing extra machines is placing more buffers. So if these machines are prioritized by a smart splitter, meaning it's getting materials before another stage and the other stage will only start once this one has initialized, placing more machines means placing more buffers, means slowing the system down. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm doing. It's all a contradiction. But well, on the other hand, I have this huge factory. I have to use all of the space, and I'm saving power, so that's something good. Maybe not smart, but good. Okay, so we made 2 rows of 6 assemblers here, and now I was thinking of let's do the same thing on the other side to keep some sort of symmetry. And here we have assemblers that produce motors and assemblers that produce smart plating. I need 0.2 and 0.5, and I'm going to be doing the exact same thing, 6 of each. So it will be symmetrical at least. Let's go for it. Done over here. We've got assemblers on these sides, on that side refinery and constructors. So I was thinking, let's do something different on this one. And as on that side we have something that's tall, and on both of these sides something that's shorter. It's not that it's exactly short, but it's shorter. Maybe we could add also something tall over here, so that we have on these axes higher things and on those axes smaller things. It might give me something cool to decorate later on. So well, what's our big machine manufacturers? And if we see the modular engines, we already have motors and smart plating. I can't talk today. So if we add rubber, we can already do our modular engines. So let's add those manufacturers somewhere around here. We only need 1 working at 50%, but you already know me and you know what I'll do. We are done with the manufacturers. I placed 4 and all of the logistics on the top just to mix things up a little bit. And I think that we are done with the first level and we can pass to the second one. And now this is kind of ironic, seeing the amount of machines I still have to place. I might have underestimated stuff and I might be falling short in space, but well, we can always add more rooms or do something weird. So what do we do now? checking the diagram, there are 4 different things that I need to do with constructors. So I'll try to do in one of these wings the 4 of them. Maybe 8 constructors per item. Constructors are small, so I guess I can fit them. So let's place some constructors. I thought I had space to put one on top of the other, but apparently I can't. So, well, I couldn't manage to fit 4 items over here, but we have 3. On this side, cable. On the other side, we have screws. And this one that is smaller, only 4 machine, I placed the one that was more underclocked, iron plates. So we still have one set of constructors to place somewhere, but let's focus on the next thing. I have 2 items that are done by manufacturers, the computers and the adaptive control units. So let's do it on this side. Maybe I can fix 3 manufacturers on this side and 3 on that one. Oh, let's see what I get. And here we have them. I ended up placing 4 manufacturers for each item. These are the computers that have only 3 inputs, and those are the adaptive control units that have 4 inputs. All of the inputs come from here, the middle, and it's load balance, because we have these lines of splitters that always sends half to those 2 and half to those 2, and each of these input is a splitter. So I also made like a wave pattern. I don't know, I find it funny. So a lot of progress has been made. I checked the diagram to see what we are missing. And we are missing 5 items that are done in assemblers. That would be encased industrial beam, modular frame, reinforced iron plate, circuit boards, and automated wire. Then we have 1 that's done in manufacturers. That would be the heavy modular frames. And 1 that is done in constructors. That would be the iron pipes. So, iron pipes, that's steel pipes, I'm saying the recipe name. I thought that we could do over here the exact same thing I did on the top with the assemblers, and that gives us 2 items of assemblers per wing, a total of 4. So we place 2 items over there, 2 items over here, and then we would be missing only 3 items. 1 from assemblers, 1 from manufacturers, and 1 from constructors. So the idea would be make another level, but in this case it would be instead of 4 wings, only 2 wings. And I was thinking of making them shorter, like this rectangle over here, nothing over there, and that rectangle over there, and maybe some catwalks on the bottom to connect them. That might look cool. So well, let's do the assemblers first, and then we'll see what we do. Done and dusted. Here we have the 2 sets of assemblers. One of them is producing our modular frames, and over here our reinforced iron plates. So we are missing 1 manufacturer, 1 constructor, and 1 assembler. And when I say 1, I mean a lot, but that could be solved with only 1. So I had to add some more room. That's where these stairs come. And we have the logistics level and our last set of rooms. These ones are smaller, they don't go all the way to the edge, because I was thinking that here I can do a diagonal structure that will look kind of nice. And they also don't go all the way to the next room. And that one over there has no stairs, so the idea would be to place some catwalks, and you would be walking through the middle of nowhere, and you would also be able to see the hole. It might end up looking nice. So I was thinking we can add the manufacturers over here. We should have space to add at least 4. And then the assemblers and constructors can be fed over here on these sides. So let me plop all of the remaining machines and we'll see what we have to do next. Finished and looking great. I was able to fit 6 assemblers and 6 constructors on this side and 4 manufacturers on this other one, with the logistics already made on the top side. So now we are ready to start making all of the logistics. At the beginning I thought I was going to show this through the video, but then I realized it might be kind of boring telling you a whole story for each build I make, because there's probably going to be quite a few, more than 4 probably. But at least one thing that we have to choose is where our inputs will come from. We've got a total of 5, and I was seeing this side over here. We could have the inputs get over that platform and go directly to this logistics floor. And from here get all over the place. We are kind of nearby to the outputs of these assemblers, but well, we could point them to the opposite side, and that will give us some room to start placing belts. So well, I will now spend some time and connect all of the necessary spaghetti. Mission accomplished. Here's the final result. To be honest, it ended up being way harder than expected. It took a lot of time to connect all of this, and mainly because of poor planning. I should have thought better where I was placing each machine. For example, here on the very bottom, I'm creating the steel pipes, which require an input of the factory. And the thing is that there are 4 different items that need these steel pipes, and they all have priorities. So I had to bring the inputs all the way down and then bring these steel pipes all the way up, dividing it by priorities. And well, that was really challenging. There are some zones which ended up being a little bit messy. They are tidy, but there's a lot going on. I also decided to treat most of the lifts here on the same place, which wasn't that smart because it ended up being chaotic up here. And this is the only place in the whole logistics levels where I'm touching the floor. All of the rest is elevated. And it could have been fixed if I positioned these 2 lifts, but when I watched where they are coming from, it's almost impossible because of this guy over here. I couldn't find a way to do it, and I also said that's not so important. So yeah, that's the only lift touching the floor. Another thing I didn't design correctly is the priority systems. For example, here we have our wire that's being divided in 3 smart splitters, 4 belts. So this would be priority number 1, priority number 2, priority number 3, and number 4. But the thing is that in this level, I'm actually using 1 and 3, and that's really bad. If they were consecutive, it would have been extremely easy, but by having this switch between these 2, I had to, well, basically divide the 4 belts of wire, and it's not that I can merge this one with that one, because I would lose the priority system. So I ended having 2 different lifts that I don't know where they are, carrying wire to the bottom levels. Ideally you only want 1. But well, all in all, it's really tidy, and I think that I'm not missing anything. Because of the magnitude of the project, I expect to be some errors and that I have to correct some lifts. But it's a good starting point. And I will be wrapping the video here. I usually finish the whole project on each video, but I was thinking about doing something different. Lately, my channel isn't getting much views, and I think that mostly is because of the length of the videos, so I'm trying to do them shorter. And on the other hand, I realized that since I started this channel, I never showed how I design the factory, how I do the last steps, the decorating part, that it's usually the most time-consuming one. I didn't time myself on this factory, but on the last 3 it was 25% of the time to achieve this, and 75% of the time decorating, placing the lights and making everything look nice. So on the next video I will be showing on camera how I do all of that, maybe with time lapses to make it a little bit short, but well, it will be something new that I never showed, and I will end this video here with all of the logistics done and all of the machines done. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a thumbs up or a comment. It really helps with the channel that it's struggling at the moment. And well, I hope I'll see you all in the next one.